I'm coming to you today to talk about how excited I am. I'm trying to be high energy and excited about tinctures and salves, which I am selling on my Etsy store. It's very exciting. I am also trying to be, excited and positive about the property that we have here and what all we're trying to do with the property. It is going actually really well. I don't know, there's not really a whole lot of stress about it. Timmy's got so much of it cleared and things are honestly going well. I definitely wanted to talk a little bit about some of the tinctures that I've got going on. When it comes to tinctures, as far as how to make them, I've seen a lot of different people talk about different ways to make tinctures. And in my opinion, it's not quite as hard. I mean, I've heard a couple girls break it down, hey, barely cover the plant matter with alcohol in a cup. That's the folk method. It's going to be pretty strong. But then you don't know your perfect ratio amount. However, if you weigh it out and you do, a 1-to-4 ratio or a 1-to-3 or a 1-to-2 ratio for how much alcohol to dried herbs you've got, it's going to be measurable and something that you can recreate as far as strength again. I've also seen people say, as far as if it's fresh cut from the garden, I don't find any problem doing them fresh cut from the garden, especially if it's like they've said, if it's aromatic. Those are good ones to get right in straight out of the garden. When it comes to root crops, I don't know, either way. I mean, yes, it's going to be super fresh when you first get it out, but then they're really kind of a little bit hard to get cut and through when they're dry. I go back and forth if dry is better for the root processing or straight out of the ground. But I know that kind of either way, as long as you're not going to have mold, but I can't imagine there being mold in an alcohol that I would use, which would be vodka or Everclear. I've never used a homemade wine. I can tell you though that I'm tired of buying Everclear and vodka, and I'm getting really close to wanting to make my own. I've made vinegar. I just, I didn't make a batch where I stopped it at 2 weeks, because I guess you just stop it at 2 weeks and then it's alcohol, stop it at 4 weeks and it's vinegar. And then from then on it keeps getting more vinegarized if you keep it open to the air. Otherwise, just you can bottle it and it's gonna be good to go. That's kind of what I've noticed and what I've learned. Big overview for how I handle processing a lot of my medicinal herbs and roots and things like that. My husband is over here clearing nearby, so I'm not too sad about that. I'm actually glad that he's doing that. When it comes to tinctures, they are one of the most ancient ways people have medicated themselves. I have seen dates that are insane. We're talking 1200 before Christ and things like that. Again, I don't always put it in my mouth. I know that they're lingual and all the sublingual and the mouth tissues are thin and they absorb it really quickly, but I don't really like the flavor. And I'm also, I don't drink, so I don't love alcohol. I'm not used to the flavor anymore. So I typically will just spray those bad boys on my body. I genuinely want to design some type of a machine where you walk in, you tell it how you feel, and it'll choose from your tincture selection what it's going to spray on your body. This is something I'm dying to design, because frankly, when I'm not feeling great, I call it tincturing up, but I go to my little tincture station and I will stand there and I will spray a bunch of them down on me. Now, this is when I'm not feeling good. So if I'm having a cold or a flu symptoms, or I'm just feeling a little bit congested, I'm gonna hit up all the ones that say on my little labels something to do with flu or cold. So I would just go to my tincture station and look at the labels to see what everything says it's good for, what big categories. It's hilarious to me, and not hilarious, how many of them, they have a primary purpose, let's say respiratory support, but then secondarily, they're really great for gastrointestinal support. I used to have a lot of gastrointestinal issues. I was diagnosed with gastroparesis for a whole long time. It was one of those stomach issues where, to be honest, I ate a lot of processed foods growing up. This is not my mother's fault. I chose to eat badly whenever I had my own choice of sweets. I was very much a sweet tooth kid. Anyway, I had stomach issues. They really thought it was a bunch of different things. Kind of back in the day, if you had a stomach issue, whatever was the trendy thing to call it, which I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's true. If it was an IBS, everyone thought everyone had IBS. Okay, everyone thought everybody had Crohn's disease. Okay, everyone thought that it was diabetes, something like that. Well, it was none of those things. And when we were the closest to figuring it out with gastroparesis, which really, looking back logically, made the most sense for the symptoms I was having, which was that I was having 2 or 3 days that I would eat and not really have a movement, and I would maybe even throw up late at night, and it would be a salad I'd had a day and a half earlier, and it would be, limp in my stomach and warm, but not even biley, not even broken down. So quickly, we got that, I got on Reglan, which was a great drug at the time for stimulating hunger and getting your stomach to, digest and to work its way through. I could, eat enchiladas and regular food, and I did enjoy that time period. So when I was first eating comfortably, yeah, I ate whatever I wanted, and it was a lot of fun eating. So that was that when I lived in California. So I was really glad to get this diagnosis. I mean, at the time, you know, you're just looking for something to stick a name on it. You know, you just want to figure out what it is. But it wasn't that simple. I mean, to be honest, it might have at one time been Crohn's or IBS or bowel disease or I mean, it could have been any, it probably was gastroparesis for a while. I now know that I was nowhere near having enough whole foods in my diet. Now, I'm not all the way keto or anything like that right now. I'm actually not as healthy right now as I want to be. We are living in our little RV again with even less storage space and less pluggable, plug-in, run a fridge or a freezer type of storage space. Like we had a lot of that at our last RV site. It's just right now we're getting the house set up here on our new property. So that is natural that it's not all figured out yet. So we're eating a little bit more packaged food is all I'm saying. So right now I know that we're not as healthy as we should be. But when I start to do more whole foods and more whole grains and less sugar and less processed foods, it is true. I'm really way healthier. I mean, there's hardly anything that I will catch and hardly anything. Now, I know that's like the hard answer that no one wants to hear. You know, oh, just go ahead and change your whole diet. I mean, I get it. It's a lifestyle that's challenging. I do not like eating raw and whole foods. I'm going to try to do some kind of a better plan for me to have healthier foods in my diet moving forward. But I'm planning a bunch of fruits and vegetables. When I had my last place I lived, I really felt the Lord was saying to me, hey, I don't know if he really blatantly said, I'll take you to the property someday if you'll listen to me on this. But I sort of feel like he said, hey, show me what you can do, with the property that you have. And we will then talk about you taking over that big piece of acreage and seeing what you can do there. So, that I really do think that that's what I felt the Lord say. And so I started to do basically like onesie, twosie plants, one or two of each kind of herb, one or two of each kind of a veggie, you name it. If it was something that could be grown, I was trying to grow it. I really loved getting into ornamentals growing. I had lilies and loved some of the ornamentals I had. Got really into hibiscus world. It was obviously so tropical in Austin. I'm not sure, actually, it's funny, we've moved up here to this Texarkana area, but it's actually in the same growing zone. If you look on the map, it's all still 8B, which is, interesting. So really, when it comes to it, we do have all these tall pine trees and a good bit more rain. I know that when I'm healthier with my food and my diet, that everything is a lot better. Now I have like a row of a bunch of different things coming up, and I guarantee you it is going to be somewhat overwhelming to me. I can genuinely not imagine it not being just a little bit overwhelming to me. But I'm glad about that. We're going to be able to take part-time jobs. If Tim or I want to work full-time, that's a decision we'll make. But we don't have to be full-time for sure, because the bills, we have situated them so that they will not be overwhelming for us here. What I do like to talk about that I'm excited to talk about is that once I was a little bit more eating whole foods and focusing more on that things did start to go a good bit better for me in my health and in my life. So one by one, the health problems started to just sort of drop off. And what I'm excited to tell you about is that tinctures are just not hard at all. I've told people, I even got a set of tea that I did not like the flavoring of, and I decided to tincture it up. And so I just put a bunch of alcohol over the tea bags in a jar and let it steep for, I've heard people say 2 hours you can get medicinal out of the liquid that's steeped over the plant matter. 2 weeks, a good minimum. 2 months, a great perfection point. So I've been coaching people on tinctures, which is really exciting. I hope that it is going to take off. I have been one by one trying to just give a bunch of them to people so that I can know and believe in my products even more. I can actually see them working in people and eliminating problems for them. A lot of them are family members that I'm just sort of guinea pigging, making them use different things to see if they work or not.